I welcome everyone to day 6 of the Sea Boot Camp, organized by the Creators Garage with the motto of Team Together Everyone Achieves More. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker today, Ms. Eshna Jaiswal. She has command in various programming and scripting languages and has a vast experience. Today we are going to cover one-day array, multidimensional array, pointer to array, questions on array. We will be taking up the questions in the last 10 minutes of the session. We are advised to share full screen to ensure the smooth flow. Please fill the feedback form and attempt the quiz in order to receive the completion certificate. You all will be provided with the notes and the study material at the end of the session. Please read the rules and regulations and maintain the decorum. Any kind of wrong behavior will not be tolerated, and the person committing it will be no longer part of the C Boot Camp. Ma'am, please take over and teach us. Happy learning, everyone.
Thanks, Alaika. Hi, hope you're all good and enjoying the weather. So let's get back to some learning. So I'll be explaining you the arrays. Basically, it's a kind of you can say a terminology where we refer commonly to those elements or which have a similar type of variables with the same type of data type. For example, if I have 10 different int variables, I can club them into one array name, which will make it easy to access. For example, if I have an int variable for roll numbers I have to maintain. So for different school class, you can say student, and I can manage it within one array. So I'll show you an example next. So, for example, I have a student structure. It comprises of two different entities. One is in type of roll number, and one is char string of name. So, in order to maintain, for example, for a class of 30 students, I will have to take 30 different elements to club under one name or one index. I will declare an array of 30 elements. Similarly, this is a primitive, this is non-primitive or a complex data type. But similarly, we can take off a simple variable type like an int or a char or a float, the basic data types of an C program. Yeah. Okay. I think we can move to the code for the declaration. So here, for example, we have an int marks, which is marks have 90 different elements. Char array has 67 different elements, and float array percentile has 90 different elements. So these are the consecutive memory allotted of float type under the variable name percentile. So we have to within the brackets, this is the index of the memory which we want to access. For example, marks 0 is the first element of the array which we have declared. If it had been marks 1, that is the next element, and we can access in the similar way all the 90 elements which we have declared earlier. So we are basically here initializing the marks 0 for 33, percentile 45th index of this array as 67.8. So this is the basic method via which we can access an array. So this is a basic print command where we want to see, okay, this we have initialized, whether it has been stored or not. You can re-verify that. This is an alternate method of initializing using scanf. I am initializing the marks second element via with the help of a user, whoever wants to input the value, and that will be stored in, you can access in the marks third location. So for the first location is 0, second location is 1, third location is 2, index 2. So at the third location of marks array, whatever the input user has given, it will be stored there. Okay. This method which we have discussed is direct indexing, where we go one by one and initialize each and every element. So we can also initialize the array in just one go. That is, if you have declared, for example, an array of int type with three variables. So within the curly braces separated by a comma, you can uh, give the initialize the each and every element with the values as defined. So CGPA at zeroth location will have 9, CGPA at first location will have 8, and CGPA at the second index will have 8. So the total elements will be accessed as 0, 1, and 2. For three indexes, three indexes of the array will be addressed as 0, 1, 2. Similarly, in the float marks bracket 33 and 40. This is an alternate method of declaring a array. Here we are not restricting it to the size of the array. So in this, what we can do is, if we are not sure, okay, what values we want to, what length we want to keep for the array, we can just initialize with the comma separated values, and it will automatically allocate the marks one array of float type with size of 2. So this is generally beneficial when you have large data, for example, for keys, which keys and data storage for encryptions and all. So there we generally use this type of declaration for arrays. Okay. So as discussed, so we have declared 90 elements in the array of int type marks. So the this is the basic structure of an array with 90 elements starting from 0 to 89. So the total size will be of 90, but the indexing will always start from 0. These are the values which have been initialized for the demo purposes. So when you want to refer as first element, it will be marks bracket 0. Okay. So we generally pass variables in any function. So similarly, array is a cluster of variables, or you can short for cluster of variables. In a similar way, we can pass the arrays to the function as well. So there are two methods of passing it as as a parameter in a function. So one is via using the address, the pointer, and the other is just the variable name. So the array pointer to the array is basically the index, the address of the first index of the array. That means that the array which we had declared earlier marks 90. So in I, the address passed will be of marks 0. And similarly, in the alternate method, the second one, int I bracket, in this also we can pass as marks braces brackets, but we do not need to mention the length 90 here. You can pass it directly. The different code. Okay, this is a sample code for a multi-dimensional array. So till now, what we have discussed is a one-directional array. So what is a multi-directional array is, this current example is of a 2D array where I and the first element identifies the number of rows in the matrix, and the second digit refers to the number of columns. So here array 3 comma 2 is basically 3 rows and 2 columns. So here we have initialized this 2D array with values is 1 4. So row 1 will have at 0th index, so that will be 0th 0 location will have 1, 0th 1 location will have 4. Similarly, the second row, which will be addressed as 1, so 1 0, the 0th column of first row will have 7. The first index of the first row, first column of the first row, that will be 9. So it will be a 2D matrix like 1 4 7 9 and 11 22. Aditya, can you run this program? So here, so array 0 0 means 0th row and 0th column, that it will refer to value 1. Similarly, array 0 1 means 0th row and first column, that will be 4. So if I have add a slash and yeah, so it says index of row is 1 and column is 1. That means the second row and the second column, which in says to in value of 9. Similarly, if I'll have array 2 and row 2 and column 1, it will print 22. Can we move to the presentation, please? Okay. So there is one more program to access the variables, the different code. Okay. So here what we are trying to do is we have declared 1,000 size of array of int type. We are just securing the memory. Now we want to define, we have allotted a memory and we want a user to define a memory as per his requirement and manipulate it. So if I, for example, I have taken an array of size 3. I've given an input of size 3. So it will store all the elements in that array, and from I for we are using a loop to access it in a simpler way. So whatever value is there, for example, the first value entered will be stored at A0, the second value at A1. Can we run this program, please? Yeah. So let us enter the size of array as 5. So total number of elements in this array would be 5. You can give an input of 1 to 1 to.
Excuse me,
Yeah, please, Karthik. Yeah,
I have a doubt.
sure,
अगर
please.
जैसे हम कैर बेसिकली अल्फाबेट के लिए होता है ना,
Mm-hmm.
तो अगर हम कैर में उसका साइज डालें 50, तो हम 50 नेम्स लिख सकते हैं या 50 अल्फाबेट लिख सकते हैं?
50 alphabets. It is
ठीक,
basically char 50 आप जो बना रहे हो, it will be a string.
हाँ वो तो अल्फाबेट मिलके स्ट्रिंग बन जाएगी.
Yeah,
तो 50 अल्फाबेट्स लिख सकते हैं ना, 50 नेम्स तो नहीं लिख सकते ना?
नहीं, 50 alphabets.
ओके.
Okay, so here we have given an input 1 to 5 for different elements of the array. The size chosen for the array declaration was 5. We initialized it with 5 different values, and here, while using that same method of for loop, we are printing whatever is stored in that. So for at what was that first input, it was at a0th location, and for the printing as well, we are accessing it from the first index. For example, if I make this I as 5 or n and I is greater than 0, it will print in the reverse direction. Can you change this for me? Line number 17. I is equal to n minus 1, and it should be greater than 0. 9 minus. Decrement the array. Decrement the index, sorry. I minus in line number 17, the third parameter for. Yeah. Oh, it should be I greater than equal to 0. So here basically what we were doing was we are accessing the last variable, last index of the array. So the fifth element, you can say, of the array A, and then we are decrementing the index to uh, move ahead in the value. So this 5 is at a fourth location, this is at a3 4, and 3 is at a2, 2 is at a1, and the 1 it will be at a0. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so here we have a basic example of operations, how we can operate on these arrays. For example, we will be calculating the sum here. So for simplicity, we can declare the array int a as 5 elements. It will be easy. Element 0. Okay, so how it is basically operating, uh, what we are doing is we are using that same methodology of for loop. We are accessing the each and every index using this loop of the array and adding it into a variable. Can you scroll down a little, please? Yeah. So we have a sum variable which we are storing the sum of all the values. So at for zeroth index at the first iteration of the loop, the sum will be equal sum initialized to 0. So sum is equal to sum plus uh, value stored at zeroth location. So which is 1. So sum will be 1 at the first iteration. So at the second iteration, I will be 1. The element stored at this location is 2. So sum which is already 1. So 1 plus equal to 2, that sum will be updated as 3. So you can add a print here to see each and every loop iteration. What is the value of sum? After line number 26. Write something like iterations or any modifier or slash n with that. A new line character also, please. Yeah, thanks. Okay. So at first iteration, it is sum plus equal to a 0. So that is 0 plus 1, which is 1. So at second iteration, the original value of sum is 1 and we have the second element as 1. So sum of 1 plus 1 will be 2. So similarly, we'll calculate or we can parse each and every element of the array and added it to the our original variable. So for all the operations, we access the array in using a for loop, whether we want to multiply all the elements or we want to identify, okay, this is the array, we have one element at which location this element is stored. So it is basically a for loop, and within which we'll just compare our value with each and every index of this variable. Any questions, maybe, if I can take,
We
or
can
I
take
proceed
another,
ahead?
and we can take another question like program to print sum and average.
Okay, sure. So sum is basically some edited values of each and every element. So average is basically total sum divided by the number of elements, right? I think everybody knows the basic. So yeah, we calculated the sum in our previous example. Similarly, we'll just okay. Can we scroll down a little? Okay. So in this loop, what we're doing is line 28 to line 28. After input, taking the input from the user for all the arrays, here the basic calculation starts. In the similar way, we are summing up all the array elements using a loop. Now, to calculate an average, we are just dividing this sum with the total number of elements we have. Okay. Yeah, we can run that. Nine five 31. Okay. So let n be 5. Okay. 3 minus 1, 2, 4. I think that will be the value, the sum of all the elements. 3 plus 2, 5, plus 1, 6, and the minus 1 will be 5. And the average of all inputs will be 5 divided by 5, that will be 1. Okay. Yeah.
And there's
This
another
is a
question.
good example of basic findings and operations which generally we do in using arrays within the arrays and all. So here we have initialized the array of 10 elements at declaration only, and using in this array we want to identify the largest of all arrays, right? Which is the largest element within that array. So I'll start the basic operation from the loop at the index from the first index. So now here, what is a twist is we have initialized loop from 1 and loop is less than 10. Why we are just checking 9 elements is because the first element is already being inside the comparison. So in layman terms, what we are doing is we are comparing the first element from this next element. So we need not access the loop, need not access the array for all the 10 indexes. We are actually comparing the two indexes at one go. So the total count reduces from size minus 1. Okay, so I have initialized the largest at array from with array 0, which is 1. So if I go in loop so at loop largest is 1 and array at index 1. So at array at index 1 will be accessing to value 2. So if 1 is less than 2, so largest will be reinitialized to that value. So here, after this loop execution of this iteration, the largest value will be 2. Had it been that the largest value is 5, for example, the initial value is 5. If 5 is less than the second element, it would not have interchanged the value, and it will move on to the next iteration. So then the largest will be compared to the third element of the array. Yeah. So similarly, if I'll run this at each iteration, it will interchange the value if the largest is less than the value stored in the array. Okay, yeah, in this example we have the value largest within the array is 9. So after the execution, the largest printed here is 9, as you can see. Okay, so generally we check odd numbers and even numbers, and if you want to identify within an array, same principle of identifying a number whether it is an odd or an even, fixed inside a for loop, because we are trying to access an array. Yeah. Okay, so here we have till line number 9 we are inputting whatever the array user wants. Now from what line 10 starts is our basic operation. Starting from the first element, we are modulating it with 2. If it is not equal to 0, basic operation, it is an odd number. If it is equal to 0, it is an even number. So in this also, we are using each and every element via for loop and doing our operation. Similarly, what we have done for a normal variable. So using an array or using a normal variable will not make any difference. It is just for a user to segregate and easily access a similar type of data. That is why we generally use arrays. Now, what we are trying to do here is we have a sample array. We just want to find, okay, does this value exist in the pre-stored array or not? Similar method, we'll just compare our value, our required value, and parse it across the arrays. And if it exists, okay, we have. If not, we do not have. So for example, here we have 8 elements in this array. So let us initialize it. Okay, so now in this I want to search, for example, number 6. So how it will execute is from the 0, it will compare first. Okay, is 6 equal to a0, which is 2? No, it will skip to this execution inside the if and move back to the second iteration of the loop. Now again it will check that 6 is equal to a1, which is 3. It is not. That if condition is not true, it will jump to another loop. So similarly, it will run two different iterations until and unless we have found that 6 is equal to value stored at fifth index. So when it is found, so when we have found this location, maybe we can print or use it for our different purposes. Yeah, further down. And if after the execution the loop has completed and the counter is still 0, that means we have not found the element. So now if I want 4 to be found in this array, so it will give me how many times that element has been mentioned in this array. So here we, in the sample array, it should be twice, right? So here when I am executing this loop continuously, at each and every true condition, this counter for matching will be incremented. And in this case, when the array does not exist, the element does not exist in an array, the counter value is 0. It is not incremented. And we can say, okay, the number is not there in the array, and we can inform the user in that form. And if required, we can take any necessary actions in run for that condition.
Thank you, ma'am. And Alaika, can we move forward to FAQ session? Okay, so anyone has any query about arrays or any program which we ran can ask here or type in the chat box. We will try to resolve all your queries. Anyone?
Sure, would love to. Is it clear or all clear? No questions.
All clear.
Oh my God.
So, any more basic questions?
मेरे ख्याल से ध्यान नहीं दे रहे ये सब
Sorry?
ध्यान नहीं दे रहे ये सब तभी देखो जवाब नहीं है कोई
Never mind. If anyone wants one or two more basic questions, can also tell.
Or any problem with respect to arrays you have already faced or tried out? Maybe any help with that? We can discuss here.
मेरा एक डाउट था
Sure, please.
अगर मेरे को एरे प्रिंट कराना है तो मैं बिना फॉर लूप के करा सकता हूँ
हाँ
प्रिंट करा
हाँ आपको
तो मेरी दिखाओगे क्या
we can use while loop, any other loop if you want.
लूप विदाउट एनी लूप
So you'll make basically your program tedious if we do not use any loop, because you have to access each and every element and it will be a same conditions. For example, if you have 5 elements in that array and you want to print that, so you have, if you're not using a loop, you'll be writing print statement 5 different times with each and every different element. So it will be printf index 1, that will be a0, and then another for a1.
वो तो
Looping will make your code simpler and visually easy. You can definitely do that, there's no harm, but as per coding guidelines, I think it is not a very optimized way to do it.
ओके Now can we leave?
Okay, so if there is no other query, then the quiz will be shared in the WhatsApp group, and notes will also be shared. You are requested to attempt them and read the notes to revise. And thank you so much for participating. See you tomorrow at day 7. Thank you, ma'am, for joining with us. And
Thank you, Aditya, for taking me, and I hope everything is clear and it was a helpful session.
yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you for having me.